All right, I think we are ready to go. Hi, everyone. My name is Gannon Godsey with Automation Intellect. I'm so excited to be here today with you and talk briefly about plant managers and how software solutions can help them stay ahead, get ahead of their competition, and really gain market share in the process. So I'm excited to walk this journey with everyone. If you have a question or a comment at any point throughout the conversation here, feel free to put it in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer it, hopefully as we move along here, but if not, certainly at the very end. So thanks, Emma, for setting this up, and I'm really looking forward to speaking with everyone. All right, well, let's get started. So a little background before we get started about me. My name is Gannon. I'm in implementations with Automation Intellect. I've been part of the company for going on about 4 years here, and really excited to talk to everyone. And my background in manufacturing, I started in boots on the ground manufacturing in a paper machining facility, and then have worked in the plastics industry as well before joining Automation Intellect and helping clients all across the globe to gain OEE insights and revolutionize their facilities. So let's get started with how we can help plant managers today. So here are the topics that we're going to cover. So we're really going to look at what's the modern plant manager's challenge, how our software and softwares in general can really make a difference within their facility. Then we'll talk about some real results that we've seen on manufacturing floors. We've got a couple case studies to go through. And then finally, we'll wrap up before questions with what plant managers can gain from Automation Intellect and from just software in the IIoT space in general. All right, looking forward to it. So here's the three phrases that I like to talk about whenever I'm talking with potential clients or current clients about from a plant manager's point of view. So first and foremost, keeping up with the Joneses. There's always constant pressure within the manufacturing landscape on the desire to improve output while reducing headcount or keeping the same headcount, and just kind of always staying ahead. So that keeping up with the Joneses mentality that you have in your personal life also certainly bleeds into the manufacturing world as well. Then the next challenge that we're really going to focus on is finding constants in a world of just continuous variables. You know, we've got unexpected downtime, we've got shifting customer demands, and we've got tons of labor turnover. Just to highlight that point, Forbes reported just recently that 82% of manufacturing facilities have at least that amount of turnover in a year. So if you look at a manufacturing facility today, 1 year from today, they'll have about 82% turnover within their facility and on their shop floor. So that's a very large amount, that we really need to try to identify and find ways to maybe not correct that, but maybe offset the impact of that. Additionally, I did skip over a statistic with the keeping up with the Joneses. Being an engineer at heart, I love to have some statistics behind what I'm talking about. Within the next 3 years, 89% of manufacturing facilities will either be looking or beginning the implementation of some sort of manufacturing software that helps them believe they can have an edge within their industry or within their workspace, whether that be to gain market share or just to maintain what they've already have. Then very lastly, this whole sense of analysis paralysis. Many manufacturers that we see have tons of data coming in. It's just very much not in a very useful format or in a format that they can drive actions from. And we at Automation Intellect really like to focus on improving the delta, regardless of where you're starting. Let's find a finishing point that's better than where we are today. And then also providing easy out-of-the-box functionality that we can use this data effectively. Having the data is great, but being able to use it is even better. All right. So if this sounds like you're in the right place, you're not alone, and I'm looking forward to talking about Automation Intellect and how we do this to make your day a little bit easier. All right, so as this animation is going to run here in the background, I want to talk very briefly. So our software is an OEE-based machine visibility platform. So we'll unbox that a little bit. We're going to be looking for machining equipment or automated equipment that we can gain insight into OEE, alarms and fault reasons, and any metrics that you would like to capture or see data on. We have the ability to report that information in real time and in a historical method. So not only can you see how you're performing live on the shop floor, but you also then can go back and do a historical analysis, identify those trends, use some of our built-in functionality that can help point those trends out to you as well, which we'll talk about here in a minute, and then really get a good corrective action plan and work with our team in almost a white glove service as an extension of your team to help drive improvement from the data that you're seeing. All right. So don't forget, put those questions in the chat as we move along here. I'm certainly excited to answer. Hopefully you can see the energy just kind of beaming off of me here, and I'm ready to answer your questions if you do have any. So where our software makes the difference. So we are an OEE based, as I mentioned on our last slide, we're an OEE based visualization. And what we're seeking to do is we're communicating updates, alarms, so that every member on your team is on the same page. We have a built-in chat engine, so it's very similar to Microsoft Teams. You could communicate directly within the platform. Why that's important and why I was on a training with a customer on how that's important is just yesterday they were talking of how they will be replacing Microsoft Teams because this information stays with the legacy of the machine. So we're not reinventing the wheel every time this issue occurs. We have the ability to go looking at historical logs, how we corrected the issue, and establishing a good foundation so that we're just building on problems. We're not reinventing the wheel every time it comes up. The next piece that I'd like to talk about is acting on real-time and AI-generated insights. So AI is the common buzzword out in industry today, and really having the ability to see data in real time, and then also using insights that have some large language model behind them, which our Coach IQ platform does, and is an extension of our kind of core user interface. We have the ability to gain insights very quickly, and with a little bit of an extension of your team, someone that's in the background, a large language model in the background, pointing out things to look at, places to start. That analysis paralysis can almost be completely rectified because we have the ability to get started somewhere and then build upon that with your core knowledge or with your engineering team's knowledge directly in the facility. And then lastly, this whole concept of becoming proactive and gaining that market share. In manufacturing, if you are reactive constantly, you will continue to fight fires day in and day out. But the idea of learning from your mistakes, gaining insight into your equipment, and then ultimately our one buzzword that I use day in and day out is improving the delta. If you can identify where you are, then you have a fighting chance to improve that delta and really gain some market share in the process. You'll see in a couple of our case studies here in just a second, we definitely have the ability to provide insights that can make lasting difference to gain market share, increase production, and ultimately make everywhere a better place to work. So to those couple case studies, and I'll try to be somewhat light on these, but in a Fortune 100 med device manufacturer, they really had a lack of visibility into a couple pieces of equipment. Those pieces of equipment were beginning to reach capacity, had a lot of micro stops that we did find out. And ultimately, they were looking at a large capital expenditure to essentially double their fleet, gain 2 more of those pieces of equipment without just to keep up with capacity. Through our micro stop analysis and the Automation Intellect platform, identifying where their baseline was, we found ways that they were able to increase their production without adding those pieces of equipment. We reduced those micro stops. We identified some good corrective action plans with our kind of white glove service or our customer success team. And then ultimately we were able to increase their part production by 600,000 units in a month. Their OEE was able to go up in 17% and then gain 3 hours of manufacturing time within a given workday. That's a monumental change that ultimately really changed the landscape for that med device organization. Then as we dive over to food and beverage, a very similar experience. Had a large amount of micro stoppages. Ultimately, this was more driven towards waste. They had a large amount of waste, which is one of the pillars of OEE. We were able to save in production costs, increase additional output from a given line, basically converting all of that bad product to good product, and then ultimately gaining market share and creating a better place to operate and work. All right. So to my last slide before we dive into questions and say sayonara for the day, I wanted to just really summarize what we've talked about here. We're looking to gain clear and actionable insights from the raw data, ways that are presented in a uniform method that we can actually drive improvements from. We're going to work alongside your team. The Automation Intellect team is designed and built around the idea of being an extension of your team to help improve on the data, help understand the data, and find the best ways to look at the data through our platform and our extensions of our platform. We're going to do regular check-ins to review, to optimize, and to align with your goals, making sure we're focused on improving the delta and finding what is unique to you that we can gain insights from. We'll identify trends, problem areas, and improvement opportunities, and then ultimately make decisions faster and with more confidence. So with Automation Intellect, and hopefully you can see this from my excitement as I'm talking to you today, there's more than just a platform that we sell you with a bottom line. We're really committed to being a partnership in performance and gaining a long-term success plan for your team to have success alongside us. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity. All right. Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity to speak to you today. I can't wait to answer a couple questions that I see have gone in the chat. And then most importantly, here in just a couple weeks, we will be at the Automate trade show up in Detroit, Michigan. I'll be there alongside a few of my coworkers. I would love to sit down and talk with you for a minute, show you a little bit of the platform, talk about how we get from point A to point B, and even just talk shop. So really looking forward to seeing everybody in Detroit here in a couple weeks. All right. So it does look like we have a couple questions. So the first question is if our software package would be able to integrate with your existing landscape, your existing ERP and your MES platforms. That is 100% a great question and something we can absolutely do. We're really focused around gaining the data in all accessible ways and providing the solution that makes the most sense. So we have done integrations with SAP, JD Edwards, just to name a few, but certainly something that we would like to talk about and something we would like to implement on if that means we would gain another layer of data that would help you make decisions and make improvements from. All right, then the next question is, what does the onboarding process look like for a plant manager? And then also, as a caveat to that, what does the operator look like and the supervisor implementation look like as well? So we provide what we would call a very white glove service. It's a very hands-off approach where our team does a lot of the implementation, at least a lot of the heavy lifting. We would definitely have regular implementation check-in meetings, and we would be responsible for all of the core large lift activities, such as tag mapping and configuring the user interface, building reports, and getting the initial infrastructure set up. Then we would have kind of a handoff type situation where we would do some training and then get your team comfortable with using the data in whatever means that meant necessary. And then from there, we would work alongside you to provide continued success as you move along in your OEE improvement journey, and then ultimately be an extension of your team. So I think that is what it would look like from a plant manager point of view, is just a very, not a requirement for large amount of resources from their side, and something they can implement alongside their busy daily tasks as they have today. And then from the operator and supervisor point of view, we would certainly do multitudes of trainings to make sure everyone is up to speed and that everybody felt comfortable with the data. And then also just being a resource that they could rely on at any point in the process, whether they've been a customer for 5 years or whether they're a brand new customer onboarding. We want to be with them through any walk of that journey. All right. I think everybody's taken it easy on me in regards to questions. Those are the only two that I have. But once again, my contact information is up here at the top. Feel free to reach out to me in any of these contact methods. I hope to see you at the Automate Trade Show. And I can't thank everyone enough for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you all so much and have a great day.